Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us for another episode of Fresh from the Pantry, where we feature local entrepreneurs, artists, and just people who, just creative, interesting people who are, you know, who live a healthy lifestyle and also have, have a rockin' life that, we want to emulate and look up to. This episode has been brought to you by Heaven's Pantry. At the end of the day, you are what you eat. So if you're putting in garbage into your body, you're going to have garbage performance. You're going to, I hate to say it, you're going to have a garbage life. If you want to have an awesome life, eat awesome food. And Excalibur is the way to go. Made out of only six natural ingredients: dates, almonds, cashews, coconut oil, cocoa powder, and sea salt. It is the perfect fuel for busy professionals who are looking to stay fit as well. And today I would like to introduce to you my friend Dre of Lifting Dreams LLC. Everyone watching, just uh, you know, please take a moment to show Dre some love and welcome him to the stream. Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
welcome. I'm doing fantastic. How's your day going, my friend?
It's going the same. Can't complain. Thanks for having me.
It's our absolute pleasure, man. So, how do you get into personal trainings? You're one of the fastest rising stars in the Charlotte community in the world of personal training. How do you get your foot in the door, and what prompted you to get your head in the game?
Uh, Thanks. I appreciate that. Actually, it's funny. Somebody asked me that earlier. I actually always had a passion for fitness. Like
Mhm.
I've been working out since high school, and I genuinely enjoy helping people. And once I realized I can combine the two, help people get goals and transform their life to become something they didn't think was possible. Like it's a pleasure. You know, it's I can't ask for anything better.
So, one of the things that motivates you is the whole concept of helping people. And I think that's so important for any kind of professional out there, whether whether they're working in professional services like yourself, whether they're working in finance, whether they're working in engineering, whatever. I find that the people who make it the furthest in any industry have a genuine passion for their field, are always learning, reading about the new methods, the new ways the new ways to do things. And I'm curious to know, Dre, what is your approach of providing the best customer service and the best client experience possible as a personal trainer?
In my opinion, I like to my version of giving the best performance is just basically giving people leeway, like
Mhm.
letting people know that there's not one specific way of doing anything, and everybody has their own preference. Some things that they wouldn't want to give up. So, like you said, the best people have a genuine passion. So I try to preach to people to actually have a genuine passion for what they're doing, not try to force themselves to do stuff that they don't like, where they'll eventually stop doing it at some point, and time passes and they still haven't got the results they wanted. So I try to give some leeway, like still have things that you like to eat. Don't overwork yourself. Just find a good balance, basically.
That's definitely a very good point. I think that one of the common pitfalls that people make when they're starting a new journey is burnout. Uh, they always say a journey of 1,000 steps goes one step at a time. And how do you prevent burnout from your clients? Because you're always going to have that guy who's super gung ho. He's like, yes, I want to take those 1,000 steps, all at once. And unfortunately, that's just not the way that the world works. So how do you prevent your clients from getting burned out, and how do you keep them consistent? Because oftentimes I notice when people want to get their health in order, their finances in order, or just their whole life in order, they have these big dreams, big aspirations, and they say, "Hey, I want to do this. I want to do this." And a lot of people come to me and advice to that, and I always say, "Hey, hold on, slow down, one step at a time, man. If you want to focus, you know, if you want to, I don't know, save $1,000, you got to make small incremental steps. Like for example, choosing to choosing to clip coupons, cook your own food instead of eating out every day or dropping $100 at the bar every weekend. So, as a personal trainer, what tips do you give to your clients to prevent them from crashing and burning at the very beginning?
That's a good question. Honestly, I still have those same struggles. It's hard not to see anything else. Once you get that fire, you're just going at it. And but I do tell my clients, like, nothing is overnight. It's basically a process. You want to build it brick by brick, just like anything. You just got to have discipline and patience. With time, you'll get what you want. Just got to build the foundation, because if you do get your results overnight, it's obviously not authentic and it's not going to last. So that's with anything. So I just basically tell them, just be consistent and just stay humble, and eventually you'll get the results you want.
Do you ever have clients who have really unrealistic results? Like, for example, a guy who's an endomorph, no, sorry, not an endomorph, an ectomorph with a really small frame saying, "Hey, man, I want to be the next Mr. Olympia." Do you ever get people who have like just really unrealistic expectations? And I'm not saying that someone who's naturally ectomorphic with a small frame can't ever, achieve their fitness goals or improve significantly. I'm just saying that do you ever have clients who have really pie in the sky goals that rely more on luck and extreme circumstance more than anything? And how do you deal with those kinds of clients? How do you steer them along the right path to a more realistic goal?
Honestly, I haven't had those type of clients yet. Usually they kind of weed away. They say they want a certain thing, and if I tell them that's not possible, that kind of just discourage them from doing it at all. So, like, the clients I have that stuck with me basically have an understanding that it's a patient game. Like, you're in it for the long run. It's a forever thing. It's not overnight. Like, so those kind of clients basically get weeded out because they just not in it for the right reasons.
100%. And I feel you notice this as well. And correct me if I'm wrong. Have you ever noticed that a lot of the people who talk a big game have these big, lofty aspirations? They're they're one of the first kinds of people to flame out when they realize, hey, this is going to actually require a hell lot of work.
Yeah, exactly. It is like everybody thinks it's overnight. Like, I don't know why. Well, I'm not gonna say everybody, but a lot of people really think you can get something overnight, and they just give up when it's not. People don't understand the importance of consistency and how much it means to actually build a foundation. Because if you spend a year or so actually building your body and creating these particular habits, they're gonna last a lot longer than if you just went gun ho for a month straight. Eventually, that's not gonna last. You just end up burning yourself out and ended up back in square one because you didn't set any type of foundation or new habits.
Most definitely. And I noticed this in the world of entrepreneurship and the corporate world as well. A lot of people who a lot of people who say, "Hey, I want to I want to grow my small business into the next Cliff Bar," or they start a new app and they say, "Hey, I want to be the next Jeff Bezos or the next Steve Jobs." You know, Reality really slaps them in the face really quick
Hmm.
because progress is slow, it's incremental, and I often find that as a small business owner, progress is really not linear. It's kind of like a random walk that goes upwards. You'll have your ebbs, you'll have your flows, but over time, if you're doing things right, the trend is upwards, but it has its peaks and valleys as well. Do you ever have clients get discouraged when they're plateauing?
Yeah, all the time. Um, People get discouraged when they see like their weight fluctuate. Like for example, they was going their weight was going down, and then eventually, they might have had a bad weekend or something, and their weight's up, and they start to
Too
get
much
upset.
martinis?
Yeah, exactly. And so that kind of makes them think that they're going in reverse. But I always, reassure them that it's part of the process. Nothing is going to be smooth upselling. It's going to be ups and downs. You just have to ride it out, basically. It's a fluctuation process.
And I
But
think that's one of
ultimately, if you stay consistent, you'll just keep going up.
100%. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about the whole, the whole fitness journey. Because at the end of the day, if it was easy, it would not be. If it was so easy that you can take a pill and become fit, then that
Mhm.
really cheapens the whole journey, takes a lot of enjoyment out of the process of growth. And I really think that the key to sticking with anything is just learning how to enjoy the process. Enjoy the daily grind. For example, you know, every day when I every day for my day job, when I boot up the computer in the morning, sometimes it'll take me 3 months to even 6 months until I see the ROI or the payoff for the project that I pursue. But overall, I think with anything in life, it's the journey that matters. So for a guy who's starting off on his fitness journey, what would be the first thing that you tell him to do?
Well, basically, I would just tell them to get started. Like, don't delay it anymore. Don't think about it. Just start. Just start something. Even if that's just doing some push-ups, some squats. Even if you just go into the gym and don't do nothing, like just show up. Get in the habit of creating this new routine. Because once it becomes habit, you wouldn't want it any other way. Like it's times when I don't go to the gym and I feel like I'm being lazy because I didn't go to the gym, even though I work out all the time. It's so embedded into me that it, I can't think of it any other way. So to somebody just starting out and just getting started, making a new habit, and you will just learn as you go. Start with push-ups and then do some squats. Like it could literally be just anything. It's just the whole point is just to get started.
So doing something. So for everyone watching who's an overthinker, doing something is better than spending hours analyzing what's the optimal thing to do and then doing nothing, sitting at home and then falling asleep on your laptop.
Exactly. That's called analysis paralysis. You just overthinking everything, but never actually starting anything. So that's very important. Is just taking that first step, no matter what it is, even outside of fitness. Anything you're thinking about, just take the first step. Everything else will come afterwards.
Do you have a particular routine that you favor for beginners though, or is it dependent on that person's fitness goals?
It definitely depends on the person. Everybody is different, and everybody has different goals. So Um, for some people, they might have to eat more. Some people have to eat less. Some people want to rather build more muscle. Some people needs more cardio. It's all preference, but I think just with anything, just getting started is better than doing nothing at all. So people would just naturally find their what they're catering to along the way.
So, guys, for everyone who's watching, this is exactly why I really wanted to feature Dre on our podcast today. I feel a lot of people in the fitness industry, they have like a one size fits all approach, and they fail to consider how we're all unique human beings, and each with our own individual goals, priorities, and even a genetic composition as well. I remember reading a peer-reviewed paper somewhere that says that they actually gave untrained people a different kind two different kinds of workout programs. And apparently, some people, due to their genetic makeup, they actually respond better to a certain routine than another routine. So I really think anyone who's in the Charlotte area, should definitely hit Dre up just because the fact that he personalizes his training protocols to each individual, that already puts him a cut above all the other PTs who are giving people cookie cutter routines. But let's say you had someone who was an athlete, who was interested in um, maintaining their athleticism while also improving strength as well. Muscle building is not their biggest priority. What would that routine look like?
For athletes, it's more about the athleticism than the actual physique itself, if that makes sense. So it's more so about ballistic and plyometric movements, fast twitch type of exercises, like a lot of jumping and power movements for cut corners, like fast feet. It's uh it's a lot more complex than a regular everyday person who just wants to work out. The routine is totally different. That's why Tom Brady can look a certain way and still be great at what he does, because he just works specifically towards what he needs to do on the field.
Definitely. And that's really that's all I always found that really fascinating. There's some people who don't look particularly jacked, but they're crazy strong and crazy athletic. Can you explain the reason behind this to the audience?
Because you're basically you're working for performance. You're not working for physical features. So your performance is within your joints and core and all type of other muscles within your body. It's just specific to exactly what you're doing. Like a basketball player is going to have a different routine than a football player, who's going to have a different routine than a soccer player. But all of their routine is specific to their particular sport.
Gotcha. And let's say someone's goal was, let's say you had, hypothetically speaking, let's say a new client came knocking at your door, and his goal is, I want to be the biggest guy possible. I want to be the next Mr. Olympia. But unlike the typical guy who says that, he actually has the work ethic to back it up. So this person's goal is purely muscular hypertrophy. What would you ties his training and his diet?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? The connection kind of went bad at the last.
100%. So let's say you got a client in who you know he's he tells you, my goal is to be the next Mr. Olympia. And unlike most
Mhm.
people who say that's their goal, he actually has the work ethic to back it up. What kind of exercises would you be telling him to do, and what how would he be, be supposed to eat?
So basically, if he's trying to gain muscle and basically he will want a smaller body fat percentage, I would have him do a lot of resistance training, help build more muscle mass, increase his protein intake, which depends on his body weight. So his protein intake is going to depend on his body weight, and just pretty much resistance training all the time. And then when it gets closer to, I'm guessing you're referring to somebody who's bodybuilding, like
Yep.
like for shows.
Yeah.
Yes. So when it gets closer, I don't really, I wouldn't tell him to do much cardio for the body fat until it gets closer to his time for the actual show, maybe like the last 2 weeks, to burn off extra calories and put him more in a deficit to actually burn off the body fat percentage. But that's only after we've built that foundation of building muscle, more muscle mass.
And uh, is that a common issue you see with beginners? They want to cut weight before they've gained a considerable amount of muscle mass.
Yeah, exactly. Like most people think cardio and uh, basically cutting back on calories is the only way to lose weight. And you will lose weight, but you're going to lose muscle on top of the fat and on top of a whole bunch of other stuff in your body. So it's important to increase your resistance training to build that muscle mass as a foundation, increasing your protein because you can't your body can't store protein, so you have to take that in every day. And with the more muscle mass you have, you can actually burn more calories because your metabolism is higher.
Absolutely. I feel like jacking up your metabolism is like having a, is like having a dividend paying stock that like, pays you money while you're sleeping. Like if you can rev up, if you can jack up your metabolism, you're burning more calories on your, on your daily grind, living your daily life. And that that kind of that kind of passive that kind of passive burn is just so much more sustainable than starvation dieting, which, by the way, will kill the hell out of your metabolism as well.
Exactly. It's a win-win. Like when I tell clients I don't like to make them run, they get so excited. Like just focus on resistance training, and we're still going to do some cardio, but I don't preach to them that they have to run a lot because it's really just gonna discourage a lot of people. So it just makes more sense to have somebody actually build muscle and then see how the fat just falls off afterwards.
Definitely. And what does your cardio regimen look like? So let's say I was your client. Maybe I had a few extra pounds to lose. What would you tell me to do for cardio?
I might have you do like jumper jacks, or as just an example, really like circuit training. I like doing basically circuit training is mixing resistance training with cardio. So for example, you might do squats and then right after do some lunges, for example, like immediately after, which is keeping your heart rate up, helping you for for cardio purposes, making your heart stronger while also doing resistance training. That's
Everything you said right there, everything you said sounds a hell lot more fun than running does.
yeah, exactly. Like running can be dangerous for people who are especially overweight people. It's bad for their joints. At a certain they're already at a certain size, so running is just gonna not only discourage them, but just be bad for their knees, ankles, hips, and their heart isn't always strong enough to carry that extra weight. So it's just gonna mess people up in the long run. So I'd rather introduce something that they're more capable of and more likely to stick to than something that I know that's just gonna steer them away.
I really like that line of thinking, and I can just tell that as a trainer, I I really like that line of thinking because I can tell your focus as a trainer is not just on um, hitting this accelerator as quick as possible, but also you have an emphasis on longevity as well. I think longevity is just so important in this field. So, Dre, I want to say I really appreciate having you on the podcast. Do you have any final closing remarks for the audience here on what they should be doing to get their fitness life in order and why you're considered one of Charlotte's finest personal trainers?
Um, yeah, basically, I just want everybody to start. Like, no matter what it is, um, first of all, fitness, I love it because it's a perfect example of anything in life. Like, build a foundation, stay consistent, stay disciplined, and you're surely to get the results you want. Just don't give up, no matter what it is. And yeah, I just believe everybody deserves to live a longer, healthier life. So whatever it is you're trying to do, start ASAP. Like don't wait on it. You're just delaying the process. You're just gonna keep thinking about it. So if you're listening, just go ahead and start some push-ups or something because I know you've been thinking about doing it. Everybody says they're gonna get to the gym. They got a membership they're paying for every month. You might as well use it. Um, but yeah, other than that, I don't really have anything. Uh, Actually, about to start group training soon. Um, so yeah, just follow me on Instagram, Lifting Dreams, and just watch out for group training. Feel free to join, and we can get started on something.
Excellent. Friends, thank you so much for tuning in today, and it truly is a pleasure to have Dre on our podcast. And remember, next time you're in Charlotte, North Carolina, hit up our friend Dre for a group training class.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Manny.
Anytime. It's been a pleasure.